Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Griot episode number 5,605. That's a lot. That number is made up. I have no idea how many episodes we have.
We're
but
almost
I know
at
it's
100.
over 100. No, we're not over 100 yet.
We're almost 94, 95.
Okay, so we're making progress. Apparently, we're making progress to 100. I thought we were over 100, but we're getting
We
there.
getting there, yeah.
Getting there.
But
Well,
it's some in the backlog that I haven't caught up, so we'll be there soon.
Okay, cool.
So basically,
today,
we're at 100. We're at 100 episodes.
We at 100.
She don't even know. She just guessed it at this point.
By the time this is out, we'll be at 100. So, Atlanta's here, Lauren's here. I don't think we've recorded like a trio one in a while, actually.
Felt like that.
It only feels like that because we record like bi-weekly. Sometimes we don't. Who knows?
Weekly, bi-weekly.
It just depends.
Like, whenever lovely feels like.
It's never how when I feel like it.
No, I'm just saying. She's talking about we haven't recorded a 3-person podcast, and I'm like, me and Atlanta on the side.
Like, we've been here.
Everybody's been a season.
We've been here.
There was seasons that Atlanta was missing. Lawrence is pretty
consistent.
Don't
try to put it on her.
You know?
It's been you. It's been all you. It's been hits.
No, but I am busy. I really
people actually been asking about you. They're like, oh, we haven't heard her in a while.
Yeah, they have.
Oh wow, that's nice. That's cute. So
damn, treated them like they
no, I'm happy people are concerned. It's just like I think it would be
she's rich now. That's what's going on. She's looking I'm happy that people are concerned.
No, it's just that I've really been busy. I've been dealing with like a lot of stuff, like family stuff, business stuff, and then also school.
Right.
I have I've literally been just doing a lot. And I kind of entered the last couple of months, like I'm okay with saying I can't. I think before I would have either figured out a way to be doing it like in a waiting room or something like that. But I kind of realized about life is just like, you got to be okay with where you are. And I'm just not in the full capacity to do everything. And I think what 2022 taught me with everything that happened, like with the conference we were planning, my mom getting super sick again, having to be like doing all this stuff, you kind of realize you got to take a break. Because there will be a point in your life that you get to do some of your dreams and you get to live them out. But you're not going to get there if you're burnt out or you're so deeply in your stuff that you have a mental breakdown. So to prevent that, I just take what I can on my plate. I don't overfill it anymore. I can only do these 3 things this week, and it's going to be the 3 things that I do. Like even at like doing work for clients or school or whatever it may be, even my professors, I literally write them like, hey guys, I know this is a deadline, but it's just not going to work for me, sir. But because I'm always like overperforming or performing above average, I get the ability to do that. I think that's where people kind of know like, oh, if Lovely's missing, it has to be a really good reason. So yeah, long-winded way to say I'm around. I'll be around more in a couple of months because I'm about to do a community ambassador thing for financial literacy and just stuff here in Massachusetts. And I started to kind of like get deep dive what's going on and looking at the numbers. Financial Griot is actually a necessity for communities. I believe so. Just having that insight from not necessarily a scammy way and really want people to really be liberated financially. I think what we do is actually really impactful. I just think that it's just a matter of like letting it seep in a little bit more. And I think later on in life, if we really still continue it, because I don't know how when we get more financially liberated, if we'll be able to really want to pour out the way that we are now. We'll see.
I'll be too busy having babies. I'm not sure.
Oh wow! Whoa.
Right.
That turned to the whole side. Like
that's
whoa.
what my priority is.
Let me say this. I don't think that's the case. I think people that become financially liberated are typically have even more time at their disposal, even if they use their time differently. But they're always open to the questions, right? If people actually reach out to us, I've never like denied anybody like a response, even at some point. I think it comes down to people because it's not about you're right, financial fluency, literacy, whatever we want to call it now, or financial mental health approach. All this stuff is very important, especially in Black and Brown communities, but it's going to come down to people seeking that information. I think that's what I've learned over 10 years.
I think people are seeking it, but I also think that here's the caveat, right? So we know like the bad stuff is loud. Like we know that. Like we know the things, the quick fixes are loud, but can we subtly grow a group of people without necessarily pushing it down anybody's throat? Like if we're constantly talking about this, I think, like for example, when you have the $1 million network, people are going to realize that you've been talking about this for the last couple of years, right? So by proxy of hitting that goal, I think you're going to have a nuance of people kind of really saying, oh man, crap, that's actually real. Lawrence did say this is possible, and here did he accomplish it. It's going to draw people, because there's the whole thing about seeing is believing. For some people, that's just what it is. And I think Belief in Fatherhood recently had a clip about that. People were coming at him like, are you exploiting your kids? And da-da-da-da. And he's like, no, I didn't see a healthy Black family from a real life perspective. I've always seen it from TV, and that TV stuff is not real. So I'm sharing it for the hopes of somebody being able to say that fatherhood is actually really cool. And you'll get him to start posting some of the inspirational stories of people commenting on his videos. Like, man, I was about to have a kid and I didn't know that I could be a dad, and I didn't know that I could actually have this, and this helped me. So I think by proxy of constantly putting the good out there, that it lands on somebody's ears, even if it's just like way down the line. So I don't know, but I just think it's necessary, and which is why I'm applying for the community ambassador.
Yeah, I think over time, as people see it's still going to come down to the people that see it and attach themselves to the message and want to follow it. That's what I mean by that. It's not the fact that the information has never been around. I think it's always been around. I think we're going to see more and more of it, but it's still going to come down to people deciding, do they watch and follow people that's actually going to lead them somewhere, or are they going to be tuned into more of the chaos, the problems, the issues, the men versus women conversations that they keep posting online? You're going to see more of that. So whack. People have to make that decision, like, do you want in, do you want out? But I wanted to get back to what you're talking about. Hey, you said there was drama in the game. What's the drama? What's the drama? Financial space.
I feel like there is drama in the sense of like expectation. So you have to understand that there's a phase to financial freedom before. And let's be honest, let's be real about it. When people think about financial wealth, it comes out to be a white-centered Caucasian male perspective. For very long, that's how it was. But then here pumps social media. Here pumps media that can be distributed by independent contractors, independent creators, independent developers. And you pop up people like the Budgetnista. You pop up different people like the Finance Femmes. And there's just so much different multicultural content that's been put out. However, I do feel like people feel as if that FinCon does not represent that evolution in that way. And so there's a little bit of pushback on people of color, creator colors, if that sounds right, and being in part of the FinCon community. And it's really becoming something where people are like, hey, I'm not even coming to FinCon because I don't feel like we're really represented, and I don't feel like we're really part of the MO of what the FinCon community is. But then the alternatives are other platforms that are not necessarily accurate. It's not necessarily astute. It comes off with false information. And so
come on, like FinCon, it's not FinCon's responsibility to make every space almost like a space that only solely caters to a specific group of people. I think we forget that we're like 13% of the entire US population. When we go to a place like FinCon, you're running into more of the entirety of the population, not necessarily going to a space like EYL, which is specifically tailored for that. But there's always been other subgroups like Elevate, I think, that exist. But yet it doesn't find traction. Like sometimes you just have to show up and just be happy. It goes back to something I saw on Twitter. Like it's almost like with anything Black wealth, we always have to attach it to this grandiose, overarching goal of solving life's, equality equation, which is impossible. Instead of just being happy to be in the space surrounded by different people, learning from other people that might have different experiences, or even could even I guess pair up with other people as well. So we've seen the space evolve, and if we don't show up to that space, then why would that space change, right? Why would it need to change if we're not really interested? If we went to FinCon, the last one, right next to FinCon, there was a whole other convention happening, and it was a full-on scam convention, literally a marketing scam convention, and it was filled with Black and brown people. So I don't. It comes down to a choice, in my opinion. But hey,
I
maybe I'm
think
crazy.
I get what you're saying, but I do think it's up to FinCon and the entire organization to acknowledge the disparity that we have when it comes to Black wealth, or just the space and information or accessibility. Right? They can't ignore the fact of wealth building and disparity when it comes to Black and brown communities. I think that's the frustration that a lot of Black content creators or people that we network with have with FinCon. And that's been publicized more than once. And that's been a conversation. So, I mean, I get you, but we do have a responsibility to kind of acknowledge that. And they refuse to, I don't want to say refuse to, but they don't acknowledge that as much, or try to ignore it.
What would you want them to do? Do they need to like issue out a decree every
it's not
every month or so?
necessarily.
Is it the
But the question is, are they doing enough?
Do we need a cookout?
Are they even doing? I mean, is representation enough? Like, what is it?
A barbecue? Like, what exactly? Juneteenth.
I'm just reiterating.
Do they need to?
Because I'm in these spaces and I see what they're saying.
Do they need to wear the dashikis, the prints?
No, you know what? I'm not about to go there with you, Anjel.
I have to challenge this. It doesn't make any sense.
I get what you're saying, but I also see what others are saying too. Because it could be discouraging, because majority of us, like, who are in these spaces don't get as much representation, right? And the ones that are, questionable, but the things are like, that would have been really cool if they do acknowledge these things. But it's no here or there.
This reminds me of Tallahassee, the Haitian Culture Club at Florida State. So we had the Caribbean Student Association, which is a CSA, which all the Caribbeans are supposed to be represented. But majority of the time, it's like Jamaicans are, they're pretty loud, they're really boisterous, they love to have a good time. And then for some reason, the Trinis always follow them as if they're Jamaican themselves. I don't even know about that, but they always hang out together. So a lot of Haitians start saying, well, this space doesn't feel inclusive enough for us. We need to have our own space. What do you expect them to do exactly? If you don't show up, if you don't stay, that's what I mean. If you don't show up, you don't stay, you don't participate, you don't, actually engage, how do you expect that the world to change for you? I'm not a very extroverted person. I could say that. So I'm not going to say FinCon doesn't really cater to me, because I'm not very extroverted. If I was more extroverted, I'll probably be doing a panel meeting. I'll be doing this. I'll be doing that. I'll be in the zone. But at the end of the day, that's just not me. So it's not FinCon's fault that I'm not as engaged. It's my fault that I'm not as engaged. Does it make any sense?
No, that makes sense. And I get what you're saying. I also get the informational piece, or
they
even
literally
the
say
you
could literally have your own presentation spot at any time at FinCon. You know that,
yeah,
right?
I get it.
Yeah. And we can't create a few conversation about Blackness, money, and so on and so forth, educating them as well. Maybe they don't even know. Maybe they're sitting in the corner like a white person.
No, I think they do know. I think they do know. And it's not us to say that. But we haven't proposed it.
Let me say, they're probably sitting there saying, yeah, they know there's an issue, but they don't even know how to approach that issue from their vantage point. Do they tell people to step it up? Because they don't even know Black. They're like, I don't even know a lot of Black people. And if I say that, maybe I'm racist. Maybe I'm not. It's just facts. Like, I listen to some of these people. I'm like, I know they don't hang out with Black people. They literally don't mention anything that's remotely Black. So I can't fault them for not, I guess, diving into the Black issues, because they're not in that space. It seems a little unfair sometimes when we're demanding of others something that we need to step up in regards to writing more blogs, having more real conversations. But okay, I'm gonna get off the soapbox. I'm a little
not the soapbox, but here's what, for me, I'm telling you what's out there, right? Like, I'm telling you, this is the information that's disseminating. This is the conversation that's happening. Personally, I have always been from the school of thought of create your own. Leverage the systems to as much as you can to then create your own, because you can't be in control of what other people think, don't think, care about. By nature, by proxy of how the world exists, people are going to fend for themselves, and they're also going to fend for whatever's proximity to their similarities. That's tribal, that's also community. Like, even within a Black community, you'll find the same similar things that are, that take place. So I feel as if that is going to always be about us amplifying our own voices. But there is a question to say, for example, I don't know if you guys knew about the Gajon, like fiasco, the things that he said.
Pardon?
His name's
Yeah.
Pardon.
Pardon.
Go
I think that's the name of a cheese, no?
Maybe
Pardon?
it could be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Garbanzo, like cheese.
Yeah,
Like, come
something
on,
like
like you
that.
completely
Yeah.
That
different.
guy.
Grant Cardone, the tennis
Right.
guy.
Okay. That guy, right? And to understand that it's also sometimes explorative, it's explorative, and just all these things that people are targeting our community. There needs to be a space where we
Exploitative.
Yeah.
I know, anglais parfois.
Yeah,
I see
the
that.
anglais
The
is
English,
shaking.
the English is not really hitting right now.
It's not really hitting because guess what, guys? This is so a different tangent. I've been translating Creole and reading a lot of Creole. And it's like, because I'm enhancing my Creole, I promise you, English words have been confusing as of late. But that's a whole other thing that I'm working on. So it is exploitative. It's not, I can't pronounce words. But essentially, it's prepared. It comes out to this place where it's like, it's pushing a narrative down, not down their throats, because we are looking for fixes. When you're dry, hungry, and thirsty, even something that's not really fulfilling, like a soda, might start to look appealing. And so that's what's happening. And I think there needs to be people that are being amplified, that are talking about consistent things that don't change. The quick fixes, the quick jabs and quick things that they say that makes it seem like you're going to be rich or an overnight investor and effective, is just not going to work. And I think there needs to be a talk about that. Like, why is it like, like the scams are located right in the community, and they're pushing this narrative towards Black people and using our lingo or losing our cultural appropriation to then access this financial, whatever little financial we do have, to be quote unquote successful and rich, but it is at the backs of the people that already are suffering. There's something there.
Isn't that capitalism?
It's called marketing. Marketing is also called
capitalism.
It is. It's called capitalism.
Yeah.
That's the pros and cons of capitalism. I can see it all on different points and views of it, to be honest with you. That's why I know what they do speak about in these spaces. And I think that it is something to express as well, because we don't see it. But I understand where Lawrence is coming from with saying that, well, we have to be the people or the solution maker. We see a problem, we should be solution makers too. But I mean, that's the world.
Look, the thing that Grant Cardone was doing, and a myriad of other people have done, is the same thing that EYL does, which is to quote unquote dumb it down and speak street. That's the point. The point why? Because it's called marketing. Marketing seeks out sources of income so they can actually have revenue. That source of income, majority of the time, tend to be people with people that they seem like they don't have discretionary income, but Black people are the backbone of just like spending, especially during high inflationary times. We just spend. Other people starts like really kind of squirming away their savings, or they sit on it. They sit on money. They don't really kind of spend here and there, but for whatever degree, either be by social class or even by just by things that we just buy on a daily basis, we end up just buying. We bought through the Great Recession, we bought through the pandemic, we bought through a period of time right now. We just buy. So obviously, if you are a person trying to sell, like these sellers, these marketers, these sales pitch guys, they're going to sell it to a group of people that they know that's going to buy this product. Is it scammy? Yes. Is it messed up? But it's not. This Grant Cardone is not all too different in my perspective from an EYL. It's not all too different. It's just the same thing. Oh,
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There is I do remember that as well. Tiffany, the Budgetnista, if you all are familiar with her, she said it on Twitter. She mentioned that how, FinCon didn't want to pay her what she was worth as a speaker. They went on and paid someone.
But yet I've seen her ask for a lot of money on these streets, though. I've seen
sorry, I thought this was recorded. So
it is recorded.
It is. Just jump right on in.
Y'all here in the corner, like popping shots.
I'm just like, I'll wait my turn to happen. No, going back to FinCon, right? I really, really think that it's tough for me because I went to FinCon for the first time after that happened, right? So like after that exploded, I don't know if you're part of the FinCon Facebook chat, But Tiffany came in, and she read the founder, right? And she was like, hey, you guys didn't pay me. I've been here. I've supported FinCon. And when she found out another white male speaker got, I don't know, like maybe twice as much as what they were offering her, she just said that she wouldn't do it again. And there were a lot of other people who spoke about how they weren't getting paid. And that's really my thing, right? If you're going to be, especially a personal finance conference, right, for personal finance creators, and you're going to invite someone like Tiffany to speak, I think you should pay her what she's worth, right? And that was really my biggest thing. I understand why she doesn't want to go. I understand why other people don't want to go, but I don't know, my perspective may be a little different, right? I grew up around a lot of white people, right? I grew up in the suburbs. And so I found that once we create our own space, I think that we make it beautiful. I don't think personally FinCon really owes us anything outside of paying us what we're worth and being compared and being like equitable about things, right? That's really what I think that FinCon should do. And I think that they are doing that. I think the representation actually is there. There are a lot of people that attend FinCon, and I'm always amazed and pleasantly surprised to see the speakers of people of color at FinCon. But I do understand people's reasonings for not going, right? I get it. For me personally, though, if I go, it's because I enjoy it. I've met a lot of people from there, found a good community there, and so I'll continue to support it as long as for Angel, I think it benefits. And I think that they also do a lot of outreach that is good. Yeah, that was really my input. I came in late, so
that's what Wolf said in regards to that. I my only thing is like some people that says, oh, I'm not going, but you never went to begin with though.
Yeah. They shouldn't have they don't really have an input, right?
That's what I mean. Like there's some people that always have an opinion about everything, but they never even, they weren't even there to begin with, and they never had a true intention to ever have gone. So sometimes we give people too many, like every opinion is not the greatest opinion, but to your point, they were paying people differently. And I think it came down to almost like a Monique situation with Netflix, where she felt like she should have been paid more, so on and so forth. And then also the reason a lot of that came about, because I think at the time he went on, Twitter, people were, say a couple of things. He popped off about something probably to guard to more conservative or more like a Trump-ish type of statement. That's what really kicked it off.
Yes,
and that added on, and a lot of
he was tone deaf.
And a lot of other ladies as well felt that, women weren't getting a voice, women didn't get paid the same amount, so on and so forth. I'm not the arbiter of this. Obviously, they all went down. But at the end of the day, like the people though that had a lot of opinions, some people never even went to FinCon, they never were going to go to FinCon, they just had an opinion about this. Some people hate the patriarchy, so that got rolled into this like thing about I hate the patriarchy. So that was a big deal. So I think if we as Black people or Black and brown people, we really want this space to be inclusive, any space to be inclusive of us, we got to be in that space. We got to be in these rooms where the decisions didn't happen. Or we have to be in the space where we have to bring in that perspective. Because I asked the same question years ago to my my graduate accounting class dean. Like, hey, I've never seen a Black professor. He was like, I've been trying. Do you know any? And it was a weird conversation because we sat there like, in truth, he can't get a Black professor. That doesn't exist. He can't go do an outreach for like 10, 100, or like really pull an entire cohorts of Black professors that aren't around and aren't available. So we have to get to a point where it says, okay, how do we get to the point where we solve that problem of him having that problem? So let's say that's a rational reason that, hey, I don't have enough people to hire. I'm like, you know what? Point taken. Now let's go back to the high schools, the middle schools, the high school, the college. Let's create more Black professors so that he doesn't have that excuse anymore. You see what I mean? That's the way I think. That's the way I go about things.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about like the fact that you guys are all right. If we want to be in, I have the same issue now. I'm in an MBA program, and not one of the books that I've read have been by Black and brown business professionals and executive, nor has any of my professors have been a person a Black person. So it is what it is. If we're not in the spaces, we're not creating in the spaces, if we're not getting the degrees or whatever else that are in a line, it becomes really hard for it to be equitable. But then you go into like a FinCon team, which I just did actually a few minutes ago, and the team is not diverse. So that's not going to be part of their conversation. It's not going to be part of their strategy or whatever else, because it is proven time and time again, your environment, who you pull on, is based on the people that you see. It probably became a problem. And so now we do see an up level in the last few years of it being more like addressed by maybe different speaker tours. That's probably part of their thing. But if you've read, because the economy has done what it's done in the last year, like all the diversity inclusion, quote unquote, officers are not keeping their jobs. And the ones that are not a person of color. So it just seems to me that equity and equitability is a marketable tool, and it's not a true change. And so when that happens, that just tells me that, again, like you guys have been saying, we probably just need to create our own little spaces and call it a day. So it is what it is.
Wow, that was a very short, I guess, thing. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that too. But oh well, it is what it is. I'm rich. It's like, I don't care. And once you get to a certain level, like, you just get rich. I know Atlanta's not at that level yet. She's still struggling in these streets.
I cannot.
But it's okay. It's okay.
Wealth is silence.
Well,
yes. Okay. Yes, Atlanta.
Okay, girl.
Okay,
let's do it. Even she's like, what?
Right?
The
You gotta say anything about it. She was like,
wealth is silence.
Be all dramatic and stuff.
I can't. So let's go ahead and Atlanta, you guys can pause this one so that we can go to.
You might want to close it out though. Why don't you just close it out? Lovely.
Oh yeah, I probably would love to do that. See, I was gonna leave y'all totally hanging. That was an episode of the Financial Griot. You can all find us on the Financial Griot on all platforms, inclusive of Instagram, YouTube, because and Twitter, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But thank you all for listening, and we are out.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.